this bark right here. Let me hear this. Let me hear this bark. Let me get this going. Do they still do give him one? Do they still do that? Hell. They do. Well, listen, Sergeant Major Karasik, let's give him one. Woo! Yeah. Major During, let's give him one. Ooh, that gets you going. It does. Staff Sergeant, I felt the voice of the Lord come through your heart tonight. Let's give him one. Amazing, amazing. Cliff, what you're doing and continuing to serve, we're going to give you one tonight. Give him one. All right. I know I'm me and a few other things, the only thing standing in between you all and chow tonight. So I'll do my best to make it quick. But I'm an infantry officer. We're long-winded. Okay? We like to talk. We like to hear ourselves speak. So forgive me. Where to start? Before I start, I'm going to let you know, I am going to talk about service, but first I want to give you a bit of perspective here, right? My every Marine Corps birthday I've ever been to, the guest of honor were gentlemen by the names of General Alfred, General Kelly, okay? These men who were giants amongst men. And now you have John McCarthy, who's a vice president of the local Board of Education. Giant! Standing on the shoulders of giants. That's what I'll tell you. I'm standing on the shoulders, right? And I think back, what was I going to say to you all tonight? What was I going to do? And how was I going to make this a night worth remembering for you all? And I was reminded of my first battalion PT event as a boot lieutenant in the Warlords 2-2. That's right, there we go. Camp Lejeune Marines, I hear you. And we found out from the PT event we were going to be running 13 miles with a litter as squads. And I had a really good friend who was a civilian, and he was a marathon runner. He had done the Boston Marathon, he had done the Marine Corps Marathon, he had done the New York Marathon. And he said to me, hey, you've never run more than 7 miles straight in your life. How on earth are you going to run 13 miles tomorrow carrying somebody on your shoulders? I said, it's simple. The Marines expect me to. That's how I'm going to do it, right? So I'll do justice tonight because the Marines in this room expect me to. And I want you to remember that. Now, I spent my time in the fleet. Then I was fortunate enough, I had a bit of a unique path. I went over to the Pentagon, right? So that's where I exited from the Marine Corps. When I got there was a gentleman there who had 55 years combined service to the United States Marine Corps and the federal government. His name was Mr. Johnston. He spent 25 years in the Marine Corps uniform and the next 30 working out of the Pentagon. So he was one of the most interesting men I had ever spoken to. He was a machine gunner in Vietnam. Then, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Then he went back and he became a platoon commander and he went back to Vietnam. Okay, so if you don't know this little history lesson for you, the two shortest life expectancies of a platoon to go into combat in Vietnam, machine gunners and platoon commanders. And this man survived both. Yeah. They gave him a retirement ceremony. He got up and spoke. He said there were two things that the Marine Corps had improved upon massively during his time observing our service for 55 years. Okay? The first one was closing with and destroying the enemy. That was it. Now I have to tell you, I was a lieutenant who had just left the Fleet Marine Force. I was in the Pentagon. I had majors and lieutenant colonels. I was a captain select. Had majors and lieutenant colonels stopping me and asking me if I was lost because there's not many lieutenants running around the Pentagon. I was like, no, sir, I got it. But I'm convinced at that point in my career that there's no way that we had gotten better as a fighting force. I heard about the Marines that stormed the beaches of Iwo Jima, the Marines that fought in the Chosin Reservoir. There's no way we're the best that there's ever been. And then he went on to prove his argument. He said, when I was in a platoon in Vietnam, the metric for success was your ability to move 100 meters in combat through the jungle. I went on to become a company commander in an infantry company. And then the metric for success was your ability to move 1,000 meters in combat. After that, I became a battalion commander. And the metric for success was your ability to move 10,000 meters. And he talked about how after that, he was refereeing war games. And he watched the battalion commander who had just missed the mark at meeting that 10,000 meter mark, that ability to close with and destroy the enemy. And he sat him down and he explained to him, you have no idea what you just accomplished. You took a rifle battalion and you moved them in a combat scenario 10,000 meters. And then he spoke about General Mattis invading Baghdad. And in 4 weeks, that man landed on the beaches in Iraq. And in 4 weeks, he made it to the capital city of Baghdad through movement to contact, fire and maneuver, and we took over that country. Hoorah! That's right. That's amazing. That's how far we came as a fighting force. And we should all be very proud of that. Now, you're probably wondering what the second thing was he said that we got better at. He said it was how much we used to drink. And I couldn't believe it because I just left the Fleet Marine Force and I saw what you all are capable of. And I walked up to him afterwards. I said, Mr. Johnston, with all due respect, I got to give it to you on the first one, but on that second one, there's no way we've gotten better about that. And he said, you don't know how bad it used to be. Now, I hope we all have a good time, have a couple drinks tonight. Nothing against that. But now I'll talk to you about service, okay? I pray to God all of you exit the Marine Corps one day. Because if you didn't, it's because you made the ultimate sacrifice for this country. And I thank you for that, if that happens. I pray to God it never does. Okay? But you all will exit. From what Major During tells me, most of you will not exit from here. Most of you will exit from, you'll go back to the fleet, you'll go back to your MOS, and you'll exit later on from now. And so I ask that you remember the words that I share with you here tonight. You are currently on a hero's journey, okay? And I'll share you the boring minutia of it, but there's a man by the name of Joseph Campbell. He came up with a concept called the hero's journey. And the hero's journey, we see it in the Bible, right? We see it in Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey. We see it in Harry Potter. We see it in Star Wars. It is when you hear a call to action and you leave the land that you know and you enter into a land that you do not know. Part of you dies and you are reborn. And then eventually you go home and you bring back what you learned and you make society a much better place because of it. That is the hero's journey. Now, every single one of you in this room can relate to that. You heard the call. You went to serve. Part of you died. You were reborn when they put that EGA on your soul. And it's going to be there for the rest of your life. I promise you. No matter what, you will go somewhere and you will find a group of Marines and they are your brothers and your sisters. And it is on you for the rest of your life. But this is the most important part. You will get out and you will come back. And the citizens around you don't know it, but they're depending on you. They need you to continue to serve. And I want to give you some more, I've given you some strategic ideas about all this, right? And the whole outline of it. But I want to give you some more tactical things. I want to warn you, when you get out, you are going to lack so much confidence for some reason. And I'm telling you this to help you, because I want to shorten the aperture. You seem to think when you get out, and I know because I ask my friends, this is universal. When you're now in a new land that you know, you're being told over and over where to go, what to wear, what success looks like. And then that's all ripped out from under you. And it scares, pardon my language, it scares the shit out of you. And you're wondering to yourself, what am I going to do, right? I am telling you right now, remember these words when that lack of confidence creeps into your heart. It's all imposter syndrome. It doesn't exist. Major During, you said this to me. If you look throughout history right now, the military used to learn from the civilian world, right? We used to go to them, ask them to help us solve our problems. It's not like that anymore. The civilians are coming to us. How do you lead? How do you accomplish the mission? How are you dealing with problems? That's what's happening nowadays. Every single one of you has every single tool you need to be successful in the civilian world right now. You do. And when the time comes and it's time for you to get out, there are going to be people dying for somebody who knows what it means to have an honor code, what it means to be able to learn and to lead. somebody who can deal with adversity. These are things that the civilian world is dying for right now. Someone who has barrier, somebody who can maintain professionalism, even in the face of people being awful human beings. We need it everywhere. We do. And you have all of that, I promise you. And we will be depending on it when you get back more than you know. So I've given you the task, right? And so has Major Dirk. We've given you the task. We've said, yes, you will get out. You'll be able to figure it out, I promise you. But if you think the call to serve ends when you take the uniform off, I promise you, you're mistaken. There will be something missing inside of you. And I think a lot of veterans who have gotten out can tell you that they have a really hard time identifying what that hole is. And it is the call to serve, right? The Bible tells us, this is the only time I'll get preaching on you, the Bible tells us that the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, right? And if you don't believe in that, that's fine. That's your position as a citizen. But remember that our entire society is founded on that. That the most epic human being that we tell stories about, he was one that served, right? So the most noble thing that you can do as a human being is to serve your fellow man. And you all know that. That's why you answered the call to begin with. But it takes on a different form when you get back to the civilian world. And it's very simple. And Colonel Buell said it in the message tonight. The reason we won in Fallujah was first because of the individual Marine behind his or her weapon system. And then the Marine Rifle Squad went on to win that battle, right? So it starts with a single individual. It's a single individual that decides they want to make a change. Now you're probably wondering, well, when I get out, I'm already worrying about a job. I'm already worrying about everything that I need to do to support my family. Now you want me to serve. Well, look, start small, okay? Start very small. Make your house the most beautiful house in the neighborhood. Marines are good at that, all right? That's right. We've done a lot of police call, okay? We know how to clean areas. Make your house the most beautiful house in the neighborhood, right? Start with that. It's going to lift your neighbors up to be a little bit better. Then find out where the problems exist, okay? It's just like mount warfare, right? Get into the building, breach, and find a job. That's all you got to do. Get in there, find a job. Don't stand around and look for orders. Look where you can help. That's it. And it'll start to build on itself. And people are going to know after that point that you're a problem solver. And they're going to know that they can go to you to solve their problems. And it's going to grow. And next thing you know, you're going to have a squad next to you. Then you're going to have a platoon. And then, God willing, you have a whole division closing with and destroying whatever enemy exists in front of you in the civilian world. So I'll close with this. I can't give you a task without giving you a purpose. Everybody? We talk a lot in the United States Marine Corps about the legacy that we have to uphold. Right? We talk about the ones that went before us. Why we wear the blood stripe. Right? Why the officers have the quatrefoil on their uniform. We talk about all those things. Why we have the blood stripe. Let me give my NCOs one. Give them one. Yeah, I love it. The backbone of the Corps. We talk about all these things, right? We never talk, maybe we do, but we don't talk enough about the future of the Marine Corps. One day, and I pray that day is long, long away. One day the powder keg will explode again, okay? And we will go back to one of the biggest conflicts this world has ever seen. And I don't look to minimize what has happened recently, okay? But recently, if you look at the level of casualties compared to what we've had in history, it's very low, all right? The American people have not had to endure a major conflict like World War II, like the Korean War, like World War I, okay? They haven't had to experience that. But they will. They will one day. And that's why you need to get back into that populace and to serve. Because when that time comes, there's going to be some young man or some young woman who's in a fighting hole. And either the Chinese or the Russians or wherever the enemy is, they're going to start sending those volleys over the hills. And that young man or young woman is going to be wondering what they're fighting for at home. And you have to make sure that they know that you're protecting that apple pie, those hot dogs, and those baseball games. And that you're holding tight the American dream by building it up to the best of your ability. so that when they have to dig down deep in their heart and question if they really want to peek out above that fighting hole and start to return fire at the enemy, they have a reason why. It's because people like you made sure that America was what it used to be and will always be, which is the greatest country on earth, protected by the greatest fighting force in the world, the United States of America. I want to thank you all tonight for what you've been doing in the streets of New Jersey, that you've been recruiting and keeping this corps alive. I want to thank you for serving your nation. It is the most beautiful thing in the world, and you are the best that we have to offer. It is an honor to be your guest of honor tonight, to be here with all of you. We need to celebrate 249 years of being the finest fighting force in the world. Please raise your glasses. Never above you, never below you, always beside you. Semper Fidelis, Marines.